Welcome to RotoWire TV. I'm Heather Ankeny. He's the expert, Chris Liss. I'm still a little pumped up from this Bronco win tonight, which...
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm really excited.
You can always count on the Chargers to self-destruct.
To totally self-destruct. But this is like September football for the Chargers. This isn't quite October football for them. This is like usually when they start, right? December is when they start really firing.
I think Norv Turner's just transcended all months, and now he's just in, it's just I'd be very surprised if he's still there at the end of the year.
Well, I'll tell you what, somebody sent me a link. Someone had already updated Norv Turner's Wikipedia page that was like, somehow managed to overcome a 24-point deficit. They had already updated his Wikipedia page at like the end of the third quarter. It was ridiculously hilarious. So anyway, did you pick the Broncos in Survivor? I did not.
And Survivor or against the spread?
No, Survivor. I know you picked him against the spread, right?
Yeah, I picked the Broncos to cover, and I had written that off. I was like 24-0. All right, fine. I lost this one. Of course, they won. No, Survivor, I would not have touched that. They were underdogs.
Yeah. Who did you take?
I took Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Okay, we didn't talk about it because I was short. It was Thursday.
Yeah.
Too much. But I took the Dolphins with my last entry, and I faded Atlanta, which was absolutely the right play once I saw how many people were on Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that obviously Atlanta gets lucky. Yet Matt Ryan is so lucky. I mean, he threw a ball.
That's twice now, isn't it? That it's come down to a field goal this year.
Well, okay, so the first time was a Hail Mary that was caught at midfield that set up the field goal. Otherwise, they would have lost. The second time, there's one drive in the first half. He throws the ball, it hits a defender's helmet, and bounces to Harry Douglas, who's just lying on the field. And then finally, so it's a tie game. Raiders are driving. Carson Palmer throws a pick six in Atlanta territory. Then drives on the field again, scores. It's the Raiders, one of the worst teams in the league. It's a total doormat in Atlanta. And then, even though the Raiders tied up, somehow Matt Ryan gets the ball 20, 30 yards up the field. It's a 55-yard field goal. Of course, Matt Bryant hits it, and they're 6-0. But, I
know. Well, I couldn't take Atlanta because I'd already taken them. And then I went through so many teams before I finally settled on Baltimore. So when Atlanta was almost losing, I was like, oh my God, my whole pool is about to go down.
Right.
And I have Baltimore, And then they won. And then Arizona was the next biggest. And I was like, oh my God, Arizona. And then Arizona did go down.
They lost.
So we lost a few, yeah.
But I mean, had Atlanta gone down, I mean,
huge.
I have a rebuy pool. There's 12 people in it, and I think 9 would have been done, and it would have been me and 2 other guys left. So disappointing. They deserve to die, and they survived.
Well, are you even touching them this week for Survivor? Are they on a?
They are off.
They are off.
So it's a very safe pick.
Okay.
You can't possibly lose.
Who do you like this week?
I mean, the obvious is New England, okay? And when the last time they were the obvious, they lost to Arizona at home. But, there's variance in football games. I don't get too worked up about that. They're 10.5-point favorites against the Jets. The Jets actually destroyed the Colts. And I actually had the Jets against the spread. I saw it coming because it was so weird. And we talked about this last week in our preview segment. And I said, I have a weird Jets feeling because they're favored. And why are they favored? The Colts just beat Green Bay. But, the odds makers know what they're doing. They're not favored for no reason. And, of course, they won. But I think New England, after that loss, I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to dissect the Jets, find their weaknesses, find Sanchez's weakness. I don't think Sean Green's going to be able to run like that against the Patriots. I think the Patriots win pretty easily. I don't know if they cover the spread. They're not one of my spread picks, but I would take them first in Survivor if you have them available.
Well, and a lot of people probably do have them available, actually. I know, because if you took them, you're out.
If you're in your original pool from the beginning,
you probably have them.
Then you might have them available because they lost a lot of games. They maybe, the people who are no longer with us, had them. But in rebuy pools, obviously, it's totally different. And even though, like last week, I said initially I'll take Atlanta, then I saw the numbers and 50% plus 54% were on Atlanta, and then I would not take Atlanta. So you have to, later in the week, I'll see the numbers, the polling data on who's on what team, and I may adjust my pick. But just which team's most likely to win, it's definitely the Patriots this week.
So they're your number one?
Number one.
Okay. And then how about San Francisco, Seattle?
Seattle's tough. I mean, Seattle, especially at home, they're really tough, right? They beat Dallas, they beat the Patriots, they beat the Packers, sort of. They didn't really beat the Packers, but they got credit for beating the Packers, okay? So
they beat the Packers.
I mean, officially they beat the Packers, right? But so, Seattle's tough, but on the road they're not nearly as good. And I think San Francisco, they weren't, the Giants destroyed them, and could not be happier, more ecstatic watching that game as a Giants fan. But even when they turned the ball over and they were in trouble, and they gave the Giants a short field, it wasn't like the Giants were just pounding it in the end zone. They had to settle for field goals. The defense was still tough. I don't think they're going away and hiding under a rock. I think they're going to come out pretty fierce. But Seattle's tough. It's not going to be an easy game, but I think the Niners at home do win by 7 or more, and they're my number 2 pick.
Okay. Giants, Redskins.
They're probably my third pick, but the Giants do very well as an underdog and very poorly as a favorite. For some reason, they happen to play to the level of the competition. You put them against a good team, they win. You put them against a crappy team, they struggle. The Redskins aren't even that crappy, right? The Redskins,
No.
RG3 is very dangerous.
Oh my gosh.
Their defense is kind of bad against the pass, good against the run. The Giants should win this game, but I'm a little nervous. But they are my third best pick because there's nothing else that's that great on the board.
So you probably already so Green Bay. I also have Green Bay available playing St. Louis.
This is kind of a dangerous game. You have this night
Why?
game on Sunday night, so it's a mini short week. It's not a Monday night game, it's a Sunday night game. And you're talking about going to St. Louis, which is a very tough place to play for some, it's in the Dome. It's not very tough, but it's tough, okay? And St. Louis is not bad. I mean, St. Louis was toe-to-toe with Miami. They outperformed Miami in all the key stats, and Miami's pretty good. St. Louis beat Seattle. They beat Arizona. St. Louis is not a doormat. The only game that St. Louis was not in this year.
But Green Bay, I mean, I know that Green Bay hasn't been all that, but if you believe that,
they're back.
Yeah.
If you think they're back, it's hard to see St. Louis beating them.
Yeah.
But this is the type of game that would be tough against a tough defense on the road in the Dome. I mean, the Dome doesn't really hurt them because they're a fast team, Green Bay. But they're probably at number 4. But don't take St. Louis lightly. With Jeff Fisher coaching that team, that's a good defense, and it's not a doormat anymore. So on the road is always a little dangerous. And so, they went on the road and crushed Houston, a good team. But they're my number 4.
So, Pats.
Why, would you take them ahead of the Giants?
I don't have the Giants as an option.
Okay.
So, I'm still in my original Survivor pool. So
with a double elimination Survivor
with a double elimination, but
yeah.
I'm looking at either Green Bay, or I could take the Patriots.
I would take the Pats, but if you feel Green Bay, you also got to look at who's taking whom.
Right, which is why I didn't take Arizona this week. Why I went with Baltimore instead, because the second most picked was Arizona. I avoided them.
If it's a close call in your mind between two teams, go with the lesser pick. It doesn't matter if 5 people take one and one person takes the other if there's still 80 people left.
Yeah.
But if 30 people take the other one and 3 take this one, then that makes enough of a difference that the payout, if this team loses, all these people are out.
Sure.
It's worth switching.
And that's what I've been doing this year, but I've been like a lot of nail biting.
Yeah, but look, it's like people don't realize if there's 100 people in your pool, you have a 1% chance to win. It's a very small chance. If you were in 100-person Survivor pool a year for your whole life, how many pools do you expect to win in your life? Maybe 1? So it's like, there should be nail biting.
Okay, so Pats, Niners, Giants, Packers. Then we have this Buffalo, Minnesota, Chicago.
Buffalo get over Tennessee if you're if you want to go that way. If you're low on teams, I think Tennessee's really a doormat. Buffalo is a semi-doormat, but I kind of like them to beat Tennessee at home. Minnesota, I think, is reasonably strong against Arizona because Arizona cannot block, and Minnesota's defensive line is pretty good. And finally, Chicago hosting Detroit Monday night. Chicago's good, and they're tough at home. Their defense is good. But Detroit's a little dangerous, and Detroit's defense can be good, and Cutler's a dangerous player to rely on.
Yeah,
I would probably avoid that Chicago game.
I'm avoiding that game altogether.
I'd probably avoid the Chicago game, too.
All right, well, here we go. This is RotoWire TV.